What's going on YouTube? Salty Texas back with another epoxy bowl project. So here we are using some Total Boat, and as you saw by the thumbnail, we're making a Jello bowl, and by that I mean the bowl just looks like orange Jello. So that's where I got inspired to put that title. So here we are mixing up some resin, took a little bit of squirt of that just orange pigment, put it in there, stirred it up real nice. I've been out of the garage for a couple of weeks now doing my job, so I just wanted to do something really basic, and couldn't get more basic than just a nice Jello bowl here. And this is just some Total Boat, nothing fancy about it, just made it a really cool color though. So when I took it out of the mold, I thought it looked like a pack of Jello, so that's how I got the Jello motivation there to put that in the title. So it casted real well, it looks crystal clear, really motivated to get this turned down on the lathe. And here we are just using some 15-minute epoxy. That I really love this JB Weld 15-minute epoxy stuff. This stuff works really well, and you saw by the egg video that's what I was using. So now we're just going to put on a piece of scrap so I can put the faceplate on it and just get that cinched down real nice and good and put it, boom, right onto the lathe. Put this Jello mold on there and get this turned down. Project turned out really well, as you can see by the thumbnail. I was really happy the way this turned down. But when you're not in the garage all the time, or you don't, do these projects, or at least for me, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I said that in the egg video. But overall, really happy the way this ended up turning out. And I had some shatter with a previous project that I had done, but this one turned out really well, and you can see a little bit of chip out there. Maybe I didn't mix it too well. That could have possibly have been a thing, but it didn't go too bad. So here we are just turning down the mortise on the back of this and getting this nice and gouged out. The problem with these smaller projects is that I want it to fit snug into the chuck. So I end up going a little bit deeper than I really need to because I want it seated completely down on the chuck so it doesn't fly off the lathe. Because one of the major things that I do on this channel is have most of my projects fly off the lathe. So trying to avoid that, get everything nice and seated. And you can see a little bit of chipping there, but overall this is going to turn out looking really well. So now that we got it reversed on the chuck, we're just going to take this scrap piece and just get it smoothed down, get everything nice and even. Take that top layer off of the bowl or pot. It's more of a pot. It's not even a bowl per se. And we're getting some pretty good shavings off, as you can see there, which we're always happy to see that. When I see happy little shavings like that, usually that means that this is going to turn out relatively well. So once we did that, then we got the skew on it, made everything real nice and even, and just taking that square carbide, and now we're just eating away at this scrap piece on the top of it here where the faceplate was stuck on it. And I love doing this on the square carbide, where instead of directly gouging it like I am here, coming in through the side is a very interesting sensation when you're turning it down. So once I got that all figured out, now we're just taking all that scrap and we're going to even everything out, start gouging process. And this part went relatively smooth. Got some good ribbons off of it, some good shavings, as you can see there. And I'm trying to save as much of that pine on top of it so it can kind of look like there's a little bit of an accent piece to it, other than just a plain Jane piece of pine. But you saw there, it kind of flew off the lathe a little bit. But I think that's the only time this happened. I didn't even remember that happening until I just watched the video doing the voiceover. But I always seem to get that problem. I don't know. That's why I just like it snug and secure into the chuck. But here we are, just gouging everything down real good. Still getting that nice ribbon off of it. Not too much chatter on it, which was really good. And just getting everything gouged out the way I want to see it. And here we are with this one. This is a little bit later in the project. Obviously, you've seen me gouge out bowls before. But here we are, just speeding things up a little bit, getting everything nice and even. And you can see the translucency as I gouge down a little bit further, how it's going to just pop a little bit there toward the end. And everything at this point is going really smooth. Hitting it back with the gouging. Look at that thing. It just squirted out of there. That's how you know your tools are sharp. But I like the way Total Boat drives when I'm gouging everything out usually. And that was a good indication. You can see all that shavings coming out of it once I gouged it out. But here we are, getting it a little bit deeper. My biggest fear sometimes is going too deep on the gouge and then hitting the end of the damn tannin, or the mortise, which would super suck. So here we are, me just trying to smooth out the edges here. And at this point, I'm just trying to save a little bit of that pine board. And I was getting a little bit of just uneasiness about the lip of the bowl, and that's essentially why I stopped doing it. But once we got it down to this point, here I am just trying to smooth everything out. And I've got a death grip on the chisel or on the carbide tool, really just trying for it not to fly off the lathe, which I have a giant fear of. So here we are, just making a nice little round edge. And you can see there's a little bit of chipping there on the side of it, but I said, screw that noise, sanded everything down real good, came back, hit it with that nice wood wax polish, and overall it turned out really good. What I learned about this project was, cut your losses. If I had that chip out on the bottom, had a little bit of chipping on the lip, and I was just to the point where it's like, look, have something to show for it at the end of it. And it's not the cleanest looking project, and there's a little bit of imperfection to it, but overall really happy the way it turned out. Like I said, haven't been in the garage in a couple of weeks due to work, but hey, Jello bowl turned out pretty nice in my opinion. I really like the way it looks. You can see it right there. Fresh Jello, and it's got that nice pine accent on the top of the lip there. Couldn't ask for more from this project. Just something simple, basic, get back into the routine of making bowls. So really happy the way it turned out. Doing smaller projects, and then we'll build up to some bigger stuff a little bit later once I get a little bit more comfortable. But hope you like the project. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff, and I promise you next week's project is going to be way better. So peace out. See you guys in the next project. Alright, so project is done. We are back doing projects now. So let's get the unveiling. Even though you've already seen the unveiling up until this point of the video. So here is this clear epoxy total boat bowl / cup. So I just wanted, there's an obvious chip out on this one. Not the cleanest, but overall pretty good. So we just wanted to get back to like a simple project before I started doing any more intricate stuff. And yeah, it's got some muddles in it, but overall, really good. We just need to get some victories in. So that's all this was. Got a better project coming in next week, but total boat is still a thing. I'm mastering the resin. I know how long to leave it in the pressure pot. I know what pressure to put in, and I think the temperature in the garage in West Texas of it being 100,000 degrees outside is probably causing a lot more problems with the resin. So that's probably what's going on with all this stuff. So we took this particular resin and we put it in the house where it's nice and cool, and had a pretty good project with it. So hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. We're still doing projects on this every week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.